So maybe I've been playing the classics for too long. Recently on my channel, I've been posting up, we've been looking at the clans. The clan invasion is underway again. Jade Falcon pushing forward, looking to restore prosperity, universal healthcare, and justice government for all in the inner sphere. Getting rid of this Desgra inner houses and great houses and nobles and nobility and everything like that. Think of it as a new revolution, all under the watchful eye, of course, of the clans, the true inheritors of the Star League. And I was really surprised, based on the comments and the feedback, and over on my blog also, the feedback there. Apparently, not apparently, the clans are very popular. If you are into maximum firepower and massive amounts of mech carnage, the clans are perfect for you. And if you want to get into the narrative of honor and self-imposed righteousness and all that kind of interesting realpolitik type stuff, the Invasion Inner Sphere versus Clans is a great sandbox to just roll some dice in on there. So we've been making our way through. And perhaps I should have started with the Warhawk, because this is my anchor, this is my command mech, this is what my Star Commander pilots on there, and it is a devastating mech. It really, really is. It does exactly what it is supposed to do, but it pushes the absolute extreme limit of the clans in a couple of key areas that we need to look at. So you have an assault mech that has extremely good armor based on the tonnage and based on the weapons and equipment that it carries on there. It moves very, very fast. So right away when you map things over clans versus inner sphere, you're faster, you've got more armor, and you've got some good guns against similar or heavier inner sphere mechs. Very, very interesting on there. And we'll talk about trial of possession and things like that in the next podcast. But for now, looking at the invasion, this idea of updating inner sphere mech warriors of what you're going to be facing, and for clanners to kind of remind us of the advantages that we have and the advantages we really, really want to push home, because it's not just all baby cakes, roll over everything with the clans. There are many key points we want to look at. With that, we mount four ER PPCs, 2 in each arm. This is both a positive and a negative. The negative of this, of course, like many of the clan loadouts, all the Omni tech, it's in the arms. And even with advanced armor and even with the tonnage capabilities of the armor with these mechs, they are the most vulnerable place. So when you lose an arm, for the most part, you lose half of your weapon system on there. Now, there are a couple of mechs like the Vulture that is going to have torso weapons too, but for the most part, the clans are in the arms. This gives them a wide range of fire, and it allows them to kind of push forward and mount those weapons in tandem on there for some fire control. 4 ER PPCs. We're hitting on 20-plus hexes. We're going to be pushing out 15 points of damage, consistent. We're not dependent on ammo for this. We're only really limited by the heat. Now, this is what we have to watch with the Warhawk, because even with the double heat sinks, you can't fire everything off. Essentially, it's an updated, awesome mech on there. And if you've had some pilot time pushing the awesome around on the table, you know when and where, how to fire, what to push forward. On the curious side, and it took me a little while to unlock this, and I'd be interested with your feedback and your thoughts on it. You have an LRM-10. So my first thought is, well, okay, I didn't crunch the exact mech numbers in the mech shop on there. I'll leave that to the gearheads. But why not drop that and take more armor, take more heat sinks, take more of anything? And we're going to look at the targeting computer also, because that is key in this mech. Some very pinnacle tech on there. But then in playing this mech, I understand the diversity of the LRM launcher on there as a kind of mini crit seeking type thing. It's a 10-pack. I would have liked a 15 or a 20, but you can't have everything, right? I can't have my 4 ERP PCs, my heavy armor, my targeting computer, and a 20-pack on there and move pretty fast. I mean, that is extremely broken with that. But essentially what we see is the ability to fire the ERP PCs and try to punch through really, really fast into some armor, into one of those locations, preferably with some ammo, left torso, right torso, wherever it's going to be. Usually by the time you punch through center torso with the ER PPCs, you're already going to core the mech out, especially if it's a medium mech or a light mech. Once that's opened up as a way to control heat, I want to use those long-range missiles. I want to, on average, it's going to split the damage into 2 groups on there for the firing and for the heat. That allows me 2 potential chances to hit on the facing chart on there, whether it's forward, back, side, to seek out on that crit. So kind of a mini type of crit-seeking type weapon. So why wouldn't we then upgrade to a short-range missile or something with shorter range? Well, the Warhawk, the advantage here is it wants to engage you at the range you don't want to be at. And we're looking at inner sphere right now. So if there's if there's an Atlas on there, I don't want to get close. I don't want to eat that autocannon 20. I don't want to eat that barrage of medium lasers on there. I want to stay at range. So, okay, I'm going to take an LRM 20 pack. It's got some good spread. It's got some good bite on there, especially if my opponent rolls legendary. But I'm going to be lighting up 2 or 3 PPCs or 2 PPCs and missiles every single turn on you. That's going to burn through your armor quick, especially once we look at the targeting computer in a second. So that gives me the ability to crit seek with that LRM 10 from a distance. If I had a shorter range, right, because all the weapons range profiles on the Warhawk match more or less, if I had something shorter crit seeking, in order to engage that function, I would have to close to short range on there to cut down on the modifiers and just make sure I'm in range with the hexes. Well, against a powerful target like the Atlas, now I'm going to be engaging that autocannon 20. Even if it's 4 base, plus 4 for range, we're at 8. Even if I'm running, that's 10s. Even if my opponent runs, that's 12s. It could happen. This could be the turn that you roll 12s, and I don't want to be anywhere on the receiving end of an autocannon 20. Same thing with the medium lasers on there. So it gives us the ability as a commander to look and say, what is the best range that I can stay out of the primary weapon systems? If I was going up against a catapult, I'm not going to be able to stay out of the 20 packs, but I'm going to dance and stay out of the barrage of those medium lasers with that. And now we add the targeting computer. So the targeting computer becomes really interesting because for the most part, we really don't see many clan mechs that are what I've labeled support mechs, where fire support mechs. Longbow is a great example. Longbow wants to get inner sphere. Longbow wants to get into position somewhere safe, maybe with an infantry screen or some light tanks, and indirect fire or direct fire the 2 20 packs and the 2 5 packs. That's all it really wants to try and do for the entire game on there. It can redeploy, it can move around, or as we're advancing, we can lay down some fire. The clans generally don't have that because of their firepower and their mobility and their speed being above average based on their inner sphere counterparts. You want to be running and gunning. You want to be moving about. You want to take advantage of tactical redeploys. Clans never retreat, and pushing that forward. But then we have something like the Warhawk. Well, it certainly does that, and there's no minimum range if we do find ourselves going toe-to-toe with heavier mech on there. But if I can get, at the beginning of the battle, if I can get that Warhawk up in a good position where I've got fields of fire, and I can preferably, best case scenario, I catch my opponent, whether that's a mech or a vehicle, catch my opponent out in the open, no cover for them. There's going to be breaks in the terrain and mission ways you can do that. Let's say they move the maximum number of hexes, even if it's a light mech, if it's a medium mech, if it's a heavy mech. If I don't move and I can catch them at medium range, because my medium range is the equivalent of their long range, more or less. So if I can catch them at medium range, I'm not walking or running, I'm engaging the target computer. That means the only stacking they have is range and their hexes. And let's say they move 4, 5, or 6 hexes. That, with the redundancy of my PPCs, that's a place they don't want to be. So that targeting computer, yes, if you're on the run and you're trying to chase down a light mech, or you're running after another mech, it might be the difference between hitting on 10s versus 11s or 11s versus 12s. That's good. But the targeting computer really comes into play tactically, where you just face, you're not running, you're not moving, you can catch them out in the open, and you're blasting away. That single adjustment, that single point adjustment is huge on there. So a very, very potent mech. The final downside, and it is something to keep in mind because, yes, you're always going to be outnumbered as clans. 3-1 is average. The battle value. I mean, the battle value is just insane. It's off memory. One of you guys will correct me. 3,128. So it's a little over 3,000 battle value. That's where things get crazy, where if you play a 12K game of clan battle value, you've got like what? 3 clan mechs and some elementals, and Inner Sphere's got like multiple mechs, air support, tanks, infantry, everything on there, and the Inner Sphere needs that to capitalize. So the reason why I say that is based on the mission and model mass and covering all your bases, you are going to take at any battle value a significant amount of model resources and put it into that Warhawk. So we need to make sure the other areas are covered and possibly justifying taking that mech. But again, a very, very potent and an excellent, excellent command mech.